Let's chat to great friend of this show, Senator Alex Antic from South Australia. Alex, always great to have you on the show. The South Australian Labor government, which I'm pleased to say you're keeping a close eye on so that the rest of us don't have to. The South Australian Labor government has decided to scrap, or appears to be scrapping, Anzac Day, Christmas Day and whatever else they feel like through a new act. Tell us about it.
Well, thanks, Rowan. Good to be here on a Sunday morning, doing the work, watching things that you don't have to is my my middle name. So the state Labor government here is one of those very tasks of which I've been tasked, as are the state Libs in the upper house, who are doing a great job keeping them honest. They're the ones actually who flagged this. This is the Public Holidays Bill 2023, which was introduced by the state Labor government here. It repeals the old Holidays Act. It's a piece of legislation that basically bricks in which public holidays there are, and as we've discovered this week, what they're called, because this week Labor moved to put that bill up without any references to the following: Australia Day, Anzac Day or Christmas Day. Those holidays are now known as the 26th of January, the 25th of April and the 25th of December, in a consecutive order. Now, they say, don't be silly, we're not trying to cancel the names or cancel these days or anything of the sort. That's just crazy talk, except when the state Libs, led by Nicholas Centofanti and Heidi Girolamo, MLC here, tried to put those names back in by way of amendments this week. They said, don't be silly, we're not doing that. Why would we do that? So you have to ask yourself the question, if it's not about cancelling those three great holidays, and if it's not paying disrespect to our Anzacs and the Anzac legend and Christmas and Australia Day, then what is this all about? Why would they not allow those names to go back in? I can say that the same sort of tin ear we see from the Labor Party we saw on The Voice, we're now seeing in relation to these days. The message is clear. When you're voting Labor, you are getting the hard left fringes of the Labor Party who insist on pushing these culture wars type issues through over and above the real issues which are facing Australians and South Australians too, of course, which are cost of living, all these sorts of things. Just had $400 million spent on The Voice. South Australia still has that Voice legislation at state level, by the way, and this is the sort of stuff we're getting shoveled up. This is alarming and shameful.
Rita.
Well, on that state-based Voice in South Australia, how is that coming along? Can we expect more division and more woke politics emanating from that union, as well as what we expect from Labor every day?
Yeah, look, well, I mean, they're not backing down from it. The state Labor Party here, despite overtures from our side of the fence, and the state Libs here who have opposed it and opposed the federal one as well, I should say, are not backing down. They are simply going full steam ahead, and we're expecting that it'll become law early in the new year next year. And, they had a ceremonial sitting on a Sunday about, I think, 6 months ago, which almost nobody turned up to. They apparently had to get on the phones and call staffers to come in and sit there and populate the area because everyone was so excited about it, on it goes. The madness goes on. But rest assured, the shine is coming off the SS Malinauskas and the SS Albanese in a big way, and people are starting to work this mob out.
James.
I want to move on to another issue that came up in Parliament this week. Katie Gallagher was talking about digital IDs, which is, of course, something that they've been dreaming about since the days of the Australia card. Have a look at what the senator said here.
I cannot believe that those opposite are going to side with people who are going to pretend this bill is a whole range of things that it absolutely isn't. So when they say it's mandatory, it's not. When they say it's going to steal your identity or it's a big government conspiracy, it is not.
It is not.
It is not. It is not. Alex Antic, she says it is not. But you say otherwise. And not only you said otherwise, but a lot of viewers and readers of X, formerly Twitter, have blown this up with a context note. Tell us about it.
Yeah, look, well, if Katie says so, then I'm all on board. There's no problem. Then I must have got it wrong. Everyone must have got it wrong. So, no, look, the fact of the matter is this is legislation. People that aren't aware of this is, I think, one of the biggest stories in Australian politics over the last period. I mean, this is going to fundamentally change everything we do, and this is going to become an enormous impost on freedom. People 40 years ago pushed against the Australia card in numbers. We need people to do the same thing here with this digital ID. This will set up a framework whereby you can only be identified by way of your digital footprint, whether it be by your biometrics, so like when you hold your iPhone up and your facial recognition goes into the phone, that sort of style of system. And they're saying at the moment, no, it's all just voluntary. You don't have to worry about that. It's not going to be mandatory. Just like, remember that safe and effective jabs that we used to get? They were only voluntary as well to start off with. And then before you know it, you couldn't get a job without one. So, I mean, if you believe that, then I've got a nice big wire coat hanger over the Sydney Harbour Bridge, which I'm going to sell you this afternoon. This is going to become fundamental to everything you do in this country, including at some point getting a Medicare number, going to hospital, getting a bank loan. And, you know, I can tell you right now, and I'll just get my tinfoil hat out because we're running out of conspiracy theories, by the way. They all seem to come true. So we're going to find a few new ones. How about this one? If you want to have a look at what our future looks like, look at the Chinese Communist Party's social credit system and the way they do things over there, because that is the system that is coming to you and us and all Australians as a result of this digital ID system. There will be a time in future where you simply can't get on a plane because your social credit score has dropped because you jaywalked in order to get to the airport and you can't buy a ticket, and your bank account with its digital currency is linked to this digital ID. This is a digital snare trap. It has to be opposed. And I think there is now until the 19th of January to get online, look up the submissions. The government's taking submissions. Australians need to be aware of what's happening because this is more serious than the Honourable Senator Katie Gallagher will tell you. She also said in that clip, by the way, and the great Senator from Queensland, Matt Canavan, got up and corrected her because I think she did say something along the lines of, this has nothing to do with the digital ID or words to that effect. And he got up and said, hang on, it's the digital ID bill. What are you talking about? So, I mean, it's just I don't know. I think the Senator needs a Christmas holiday. I don't understand.
Rita?
Well, it's been a rough week for poor Katie Gallagher because I think we showed it up on the screen there. She also got a disinformation note on her post. This is what's called a community notes on Twitter, people correcting an assertion she was making. And I'm interested in how that works with this government that seems to be telling us disinformation is a threat to democracy, and that's why we need this disinformation bill that's going to apply to everybody. Where is that particular bill, and how do you think the upper house is going to handle that? Are we going to be saddled with that?
Yeah, look, I think they're both coming. That one's disappeared. The misinformation bill's disappeared off the radar. It received, I'm told, 23,000 submissions at a similar stage or an earlier stage with an exposure draft. So, you know, I mean, people don't write and put in submissions when they love a piece of legislation, I can assure you. That I think they're only releasing about 2,500 of those, by the way, because it's, you know, all the usual reasons, too much bureaucratic red tape and, you know, they don't have time and resources and all that sort of thing. But people are onto this. The misinformation bill, a bit like the digital ID bill, are both of great concern to the Australian people. I don't know where that's up to. It's been put back on the shelf. I expect we will probably in the new year see a slightly less worse version of the misinformation and disinformation bill. But ultimately, these are the same bills which are being introduced all across the West, all at the behest of big corporates and the World Economic Forum, I have to say, to get that tinfoil hat on again. This is a bigger picture push than just Australia itself. We are being caught in a snare trap with these pieces of legislation. Pretty soon there won't be any avenues for free speech. And if those of us who wish to speak it, then we will find our social standing dropping like a proverbial stone.
Alex Antic, always great to have you here, Senator for South Australia. You do a great job there in Parliament in protecting our liberties and freedoms. We need the Liberal Party to come out and say that they will oppose this thing. I'm saying that Dutton will be the next Prime Minister. We need to keep our freedoms and safeties. That's the common sense approach that everyday Australians want. Thanks for the great work. And as you say, we've got to get everyday Australians to get online and oppose this idiotic idea, yet another ideological bit of idiocy from Labor. Thanks so much, Alex Antic.